everybody. This is Andrea Albertini. I am so excited to announce our new podcast, and we're going to start talking about everything home health care. Do you all know what really home care is all about? Well, stick around. We are here to explain everything to you all.
Welcome to Senior Care Made Simple, an elder care podcast, your guide to navigating home health care with confidence. Hosted by Andrea Albertini, founder and CEO of Horizon Care Services, an industry leader in private duty home care in South Florida. To learn more, visit horizoncareservices.com.
Hi, everybody. I hope everyone is having a fantastic day. This is Andrea Albertini. And today I am so excited to introduce you our new co-host, and that's Lucy Torres, our Director of Sales and Marketing for Horizon Care Services. We know each other for about 20 years. So start getting excited, you guys. There's a lot of wonderful things to talk about it. We're going to start with talking about what's home care. As we age in place, we need to be able to learn everything about home care. And I'm going to talk to you guys about a client of ours, actually, that is in real estate. And we took care of his mother. And he came up to me the other day and said, "Thank you so much for your help. If it wasn't for you, my mother wouldn't be able to die with dignity at home with my dad." So that takes us to explain to you what home care really, really is. And Lucy Torres is going to come in and give a little bit of talk as well. So we're going to share some information between the two of us. But what's really home care? There's two types of home care. One of them is Medicare home care. That is a intermittent visit that's covered by the insurance. It's covered by Medicare. And there's also private duty, hourly, and living care. Private duty hour and living care is mostly for people who needs around-the-clock help. Either you're going for surgery and you need 2 weeks of help, either you fell and you need somebody to help you for a few weeks, or you're aging in place and you need somebody with you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That's what private duty really is. Now, there's a lot more to private duty than you would ever know. And one of the things that is with private duty is that you also can use private duty in a hospital setting. If you are in a hospital, if you are in a nursing home getting rehab, if you are in assisted living and your loved one needs some extra help, that's what private duty really, really is. And Lucy, you can explain more because you're out in the field a lot, and you can explain more to the listeners and when you need it and how do you get it.
Well, this is one of the things that I love the most about Horizon Care Services is that we are full service. And that means that we can provide care in the home environment, whether it's needing care 24 hours there with daily living activities, or when someone is in the hospital and they need to transition back home, or they need to transition into assisted living, or they're transitioning into the rehab services. And that's where we step in to provide those services. So home care is such a need. It provides such hope. It gives such great dignity to the individuals out there that need the care. And of course, the compassion that comes along with it.
Absolutely. And the other thing is like when you need it, a lot of our clients, we live in South Florida, by the way. We are coming out live from Palm Beach, our beautiful sunny state. A lot of our clients have loved ones who live in New York, New Jersey, anywhere around the country, or sometimes around the world.
Absolutely.
And their parents are here. All of a sudden, mom fell, mom goes in a hospital. And where do you go?
They don't know what to do. They're afraid. They're thinking, I'm going to have to leave work, leave my family, fly across the state. How am I going to be there? And that's why we're here.
And a lot of people don't know about that. So that's when you need it. Not only that, but I also want to let everybody know that when someone is in a hospital, you are guided by the discharge planner in a hospital or the physician who has affiliation with some of their preferred home health agency. And that's how you can access it, home care.
And did you know that discharge planning begins the day a person is admitted to the hospital? That's the perfect opportunity to let case management know that they have a home health agency or they're in need of a home health agency once they're discharged, whether they're going to be discharged home or to a rehab facility or even an assisted living.
Well, one of the other things that I wanted to mention is our healthcare systems is changing dramatic, right? So, you know, Lucy, because you and I are boots on the ground doing marketing, visiting physicians, visiting case managers.
So much change.
Talking to everyone about what we do and how we can help our local seniors, correct?
Absolutely,
And
yes.
what's happened a lot of times is, unfortunately, because of the shorthand in hospitals and nursing homes and assisted living facility, I walked in a hospital one day and one of our patients were sleeping. The food was on the table far away from the patient, and there was no nurse to be found. So I actually called the nurse and say, who's going to feed him? Well, when he wakes up, we'll bring the table closer to him.
When the food is cold?
When the food's cold. So it is so important that if you do go in a hospital, I don't care how old you are, called a private duty home health agency. They can provide a sitter to sit with you, to help you get up to go to the bathroom, to give you some water, to help change if you need, anything at all. Please do not go in a hospital by yourself. Either you have a family member or call a private duty agency to help you. There's so much to home care that I am so excited to share with you all along the way. You have no idea. So you got to stick around for more episodes. So anyway, moving along with that. So when you finally get the home care that you need for your parents at home, do you actually know what goes on? Well, I'm going to explain that to you guys. The way we do it at Horizon Care Services is we do everything from beginning to end, from cleaning to cooking, to taking care of a pet, to keep up the schedule for doctor's appointment, to be able to communicate with the agency if there's any change of condition.
Additional eyes and ears.
Exactly. We are the eyes and ears for you. We communicate back with the children. This is what's going on with mom. This is what's going on with dad. We do from beginning to end. One of the things that we do as well at Horizon Care Services is we also create an activity calendar. You know, what does Mrs. Smith like to do before she needed our services? So that's what falls under the private duty. And it is very important to actually choose the right agency for you to work with, because it takes a leap of faith for you to make that call for someone strange to come into your loved one's house.
That is so true. And with having that all in place, it provides a circle of care for the client, for the patient, for the resident. Everyone is involved. So that's the family, that's us, that's the physician, and everyone is in communication of what's going on with the patient. And that's so important because no one is left out. And that way we can continue to provide great care. Also, the patient is stimulated in their home environment. They're having socialization with their caregiver. And when we tailor that care, even with activities, you mentioned an activity calendar, that's great because they still want to socialize. Just because you become elderly doesn't mean you're still not capable of doing things you did once in your life. Having someone to take you still to the local hair salon that you always have been to, but you felt, now I'm not able to get there. How is my loved one going to get there? We provide all these things. That's what private duty does. It's an extension of care for your loved one. And the expectations of having someone in your home turn to a positive thought as opposed to a scary thought or feeling hopeless. We provide that hope and still allow you to have your dignity at home.
One of the things that I wanted to also talk about with the listeners is, like I had said before, it takes a leap of faith to trust a stranger to come in to take care of your mom or your dad or your grandmom or your grandpop. We at Horizon Care Services vet every single caregiver's that comes into our door. We have liability insurance. We have workers' comp. We have them background check. Everyone that we vetted are very, very, very good caregivers. If you check our reviews, if you check our website, if you check what people are talking about Horizon Care Services, that's an agency that you have to choose for your loved ones. And we're going to be talking about that in future episodes.
Okay, so you had mentioned about a lot of the children are out of state. That also leads back to what I love that you continue to say is having the leap of faith. Because just imagine being somewhere far away and not even knowing what's going on at your parents' home in a different state. I've seen situations where the parents are living at home and the children assume they're okay because they call them. They say, yeah, everything's fine. I went to the store today. I went to church or I went to temple. What they don't know is that there's rotten food in the refrigerator. They don't have the water running in the home. They are not aware of what's going on because there also may be some cognitive issues with their parent that they are not aware of. It can be as simple as, let's say, a urinary tract infection, and they don't know this. With someone in the home being the additional eyes and ears, they can identify what these needs are. And it helps the children realize, oh, that's why mom or dad sounded off on the phone today. Or that's why every time when I call them, they say the same thing and then they just hang up the phone. You know, it's kind of like, you know, you have that conversation and they tell you the same thing and they're rushing to get off the phone and you think is they don't want to talk to me. No, it's because this is all that they have to say at that time. And you don't realize that there are a lot of things going on in that home environment. So it goes back to, how do you trust someone to be in your home? Who do you trust? How do you know to trust them? And when you were mentioning vetting these caregivers, you know that you have a trusted individual with the appropriate credentials to go into your parents' home and help identify the entire situation in that home environment. And that's wonderful to be able to do that from so far away.
And one of the things that makes Horizon different, which I'm so excited about it, is that when that happened and that child call us and say, there's something going on with my mom, she's acting really bizarre, that we can send our care manager out, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So now
exactly.
here's the beauty of that. What we do is we send one of our mobile physician or our mobile nurse practitioners out. Right?
Wonderful.
To get the urine sample of mom or dad, and start antibiotics right away. And instead of sending them to the hospital, why are you going to send your parents to the hospital?
Have them in the emergency room sitting there for hours. It eliminates them from going to the emergency room. It prevents a readmission back to the hospital and this child flying again. What do you mean she's back in the hospital? I just left and now I have to return back. It prevents all of that.
So we are so proactive when it comes to our patient. And we actually had a patient last week that needed a podiatrist. And, you know, and a lot of people don't realize that you have to be careful when you're cutting nails of an aging person.
And it's so painful.
It is very painful for them.
That's also affecting their gait, their balance. And
exactly.
They're not getting up and they're not moving around because their feet hurt and they need a podiatrist.
Exactly. So there's so much to home care that we are so excited to start sharing with you all that is going to bring the light. And even for you when you get older. And the other thing that we do with private duty is you don't have to be an elderly person or a senior person. We take care of any ages.
I was just thinking that.
Right? A lot of people think this is just senior service. It's really not. You know, we have patients that are 40 years old that is in wheelchair bound. We have patients that are young and bed bound.
Things happen.
We have patients that is Down syndrome. The parents have to work. We stay home with them with a caregiver. We have patients that has autism that needs to have a caregiver while their parents going to work. You know, and there's so much that we do, you know, or a lot of private duties are not like us. And again, we're going to talk about all that in some of the next episodes of our show.
So exciting. So many things to talk about. You also brought to mind even cosmetic procedures. I remember I had a total hysterectomy. And when I went home, I needed someone. My children are working, they're older. I needed someone, even at the age of, I don't know, was I 47, something like that. But I needed someone, and that would have been perfect for me to have someone there by my side, because I couldn't get up, I couldn't move around, I couldn't cook. And when you can't cook and you can't eat the proper nutrition, then your body's not going to heal correctly.
Exactly. It is so important. And actually, talking about that, a few years ago, I had a tumor in my back, right? In the middle of my back. And I had surgery. And I came home with drains. The doctor never ordered nursing services at all. So I'm thinking to myself,
how am I going to do this?
How am I going to take care of this drain?
Yes.
Thank God. I own a nursing agency, and I had my nurses go every single day to take care of my drain. And this is another topic too. Again, we're going to be talking back and forth about so many things. A lot of the times physicians don't understand, how and when to order home care in general. Either it's Medicare or either it's private duty home care. They don't understand it.
They don't.
To me, I think anybody needs a consult. And you're right. Private duty and discharge planning should start before you going into surgery. Right?
That's right.
Hospital admissions, you can't control it. If it's an emergency and your loved ones has to go into the hospital, you can't control that, right?
Any of us.
Once, and here's the other thing that sometimes we don't think about. Again, we talk about, we are in South Florida, and most of the children don't live here. They live all over the world, not just all over the country, and your parents are here alone, right?
That's right.
So when they do need services, they are in a hospital. Sometimes the doctor or the case managers don't have the time to ask them, do you live alone? Is there anyone to help you? Do you still drive? Who's going to get your medication for you? Mm-hmm. Who's going to get your food for you? Nobody thinks about that.
No.
At all. And what about medicine? Who's going to pick up your medicine for you? Who's going to pick up
your medicine from the pharmacy? You just want to go home.
But then what happened? The next day, you're back in the hospital again. Why? Because you didn't take your medication.
That's right.
And there's just so much more, too, that happens. Let's talk about you come home with new medication, but you have old medications at home.
That's
a disaster.
I see that disaster all the time. Or they say, I'm not getting rid of that medication because it costs me a lot of money, so I'm going to save it. And then they're combining it. So now they're on the same medication over and over and have all these different containers. It's a mess. I forget my medicine in the morning if I didn't have it in a container, in a medication box. Everyone does. The phone rings, and I don't remember if I took that pill. You mentioned families being out of state. We continue to talk about that. But there's also local families that are not able to help take care of their parents because they have to work.
Right.
They have their own families. They have full-time jobs. And how can they take time off work to go home and take care of their parents? And now they also have their family when they get home. That causes what we see a lot in this industry is caregiver strain. Caregiver strain is real, and we want to help alleviate that from you, almost providing that respite care, giving you that break as a family member. And you may have your parent home with you all day long, and you are providing a lot of the care, but there are days that you need a break. We're human. We all need a break. And that's when we can also step in and take care of mom and dad for that day while you go and do what you need to do, or take a little staycation somewhere and let us come in and give you that break that you so deserve and need.
Well, as the owner of this company, I had my own personal experience with my loved ones needing caregiver. And if it wasn't for my agency, right, I wouldn't be able to spend quality time with him. I did come home 5:30. I cooked dinner. I know the house was clean. He was clean. He was well taken care of.
Gave you peace of mind.
And it gave me a peace of mind. And I was able to actually go ahead and, go do my job during the day, so I can come back and be with him. It is so important that, you do get some respite care for you.
Absolutely.
For yourself.
It's so
Take
important.
Your family. And a lot of the local people here too, sometimes the children lives with them, which is even harder.
It is.
Because they work all day and then they come home and they have to deal with it.
I know.
And especially the dementia patients, which we're going to talk about a lot of that along the way here.
Just that peace of mind. And it goes again and again, leap of faith, that you are able to come home and know, oh, I have the peace of mind that he's being taken care of. My loved one is being taken care of. And you can just come home and provide and have that quality time with them. Not the stress of, no, I got to come home and I have to change you and I have to take care of you and I have to do this and I have to do that. And, you're running around. It's kind of like having a newborn baby where you never sleep. It really leads back to that. We're in the circle of life here. So we all need that peace of mind. We all need that respite care. We all need a break. We all need self-care, which I always talk about oxygen mask theory. The only way we can take care of someone else is by taking care of ourselves first. And being able to have someone that you trust taking care of your loved one allows you to have self-care and take care of yourself. So then you're better for them as well as for yourself.
No, absolutely. And actually, remember when I had the radio show on Legends Radio a while back, and we used to talk a lot about, sometimes when we are a caregiver, we end up dying before before the people we're caring for.
I have
because the
it.
level of stress is so high. And especially for you worked in an assisted living and independent living community for the last 8-9 years. And so you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Absolutely. The children would come to me and they felt completely defeated. They didn't know what to do and they felt guilt. They had this tremendous sense of guilt that they felt they are the ones that have to do everything for their parents because their parents did everything for them when they raised them. And I explained to them, you're still a human being and you need a break. And whether it's you hire someone in the home or you have them in assisted living and you hire someone to be there. And a lot of times they want a companion too. They're new widows and they need someone to talk to. They were married for 64, 65 years. We see this all the time. And now they're all alone and they need someone there. And we provide that as well for them. But the children would always come with the sense of hopeless. You see a lot of family dynamics, a lot of anger, because again, it goes back to the guilt and the question of, I don't know what to do. When you first started, you said, do you even know what home care is? A lot of people don't know what home care is. They just think that home care is someone taking care of them because I can't. But not because you can't and because it's not that you don't want to, but there are reasons in your life that you're not able to be there all the time with them. And it allows you to have other options and have a healthy life for them and for yourself.
And there's a lot that the home care does that we're going to be talking a lot, in this podcast, like going back to physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech therapy, right? And Horizon Care Services being a whole Horizon brand, right, of private duty, because that's what we do, private duty, hourly and living care, and so many other things that we're going to be touching along the way in this podcast is that, we have a nutritionist on board and the nutrition bill directly to Medicare. They do meal plans. They work with the caregiver on meal preparation, shopping lists.
That's so important. Nutrition
is so important. A lot of people don't understand how important nutrition is.
No, a lot of the elderly are living on frozen meals. And we say a frozen meal is equivalent to a can of salt. And what does sodium do to an elderly person? So it's so important to have a nutritionist, someone to come in here and help you figure out what the meals are. And then also to connect you with community resources. Like there are community resources that will bring meals to the home, to the person, or help them tailor meals that are specific to what their dietary restrictions may be. And that it's so important. Nutrition helps heal if there's wounds or the body overall.
And now we would love to be able to hear from the listeners. If you have never heard this podcast before, if you don't know anything about home care, long-term care, or anything like that, or aging in place, my question to you all is, where do you go to look for that service? Please leave us a note. Our email address is in the show notes below. Please, we would love to hear any of the comments and questions that you may have, and whatever topics you may be interested for us to talk about it. We have been in the healthcare industry for over 40 years. There is nothing that we don't know and haven't experienced that we'd love to be able to share. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you next time.
Senior Care Made Simple, an elder care podcast, has been brought to you by Horizon Care Services, your private duty choice in home care in South Florida. For more information on acquiring home care assistance, visit horizoncareservices.com.